So what are some of the highlights? So any new building going up in the yard has to be at least LEED Silver or beyond. So we are just completing the nation's first, we just completed the nation's first multi-story, multi-tenanted green industrial building. It's got the city's first building-mounted wind turbines, which you see in the top left-hand corner. We're on track to get LEED Gold. We have 7 other green buildings that are in construction or design, 2 of them that are targeting LEED Platinum. We are adaptively reusing an enormous amount of buildings in the yard, some of which go back to the Civil War, probably the most sustainable thing that you can do. We are focused on using green technologies in our renovation and maintenance. So as we ripped up all the roads in the Navy Yard, through the capital funding that we got from the city to replace the water and sewer lines, we had to put in new street lamps. So we began studying, would there be a way to do renewable-only street lamps? We tested 3 different versions over 6 months, and it came out that there was a very positive return in year 1 if we went with a product that happened to be designed and manufactured by a Navy Yard tenant, Dugal Ecosystems. He developed a wind-solar street lamp, which is the second picture there, a solar panel over the street light and a vertical wind turbine. If you don't have to put in the conduit on a new road, the piping from pole to pole, and we're installing 91 of these right now, that was $600,000 in savings, year 1, boom. It's got a positive return. And then every year we're saving $11,000 a year on electricity costs. So this has become a great demonstration for a product that we hope will sell globally. There are a lot of people coming down and looking at it. It's manufactured and designed, again, at the Navy Yard. So Dugal is one of our prime green manufacturers. We've installed some of Brooklyn's first solar-powered trash compactors. That's the 3rd slide down. We're also using recycled railroad ties for bike racks and putting in bike racks throughout the yard to encourage bike use. As we rip up the roads and put in new water and sewer, a real focus on stormwater runoff management. And again, another very simple but ecologically friendly step to take by putting as much greening as possible in. We looked very closely at bioswales, but unfortunately the water table at the Navy Yard, since most of it is landfill, is only 10 feet down, so that didn't work, but we have put in a lot of greening as we redevelop the Navy Yard. Strong encouragement for tenant-to-tenant business collaboration. A lot of that happens in the Navy Yard already organically. We have pushed that by creating a tenant sustainability committee to work with us on our investments, but also generate collaboration. We're purchasing all hybrid low-emission vehicles. We just got 2 low-sulfur fuel buses that run out to the subways to encourage mass transit. That's probably our biggest challenge, and that we're 15 or 20 minutes away from all the subway lines. We're now doing a yard-wide waste management program in the yard. We have some very high-end dumpster divers in the Navy Yard who take advantage of a lot of the construction projects going on and are reusing that steel for high-end products, that wood for furniture tables and chairs. A lot of that's going on. We're trying to better coordinate that yard-wide and maybe have one waste provider servicing the entire yard that will focus on a yard-ride recycling program. Today, all of our tenants are responsible for their own garbage. We have also agreed around the entire perimeter of the yard to 6 to 12-foot setbacks for the Brooklyn Greenaway for bike and pedestrian and further greening of the perimeter of the yard. This just again highlights some of the buildings that are going up. New buildings are going up at the yard basically through 3 different financing mechanisms. One is we self-finance, leveraging our rent roll. So basically the rent roll from all of our tenants we use as collateral to borrow money. The first building, again, the green building with the wind turbines, solar panels, on track for LEED Gold. We self-financed through $25 million from Chase, creating 150 jobs. It's done. It's being taken by a current Navy Yard tenant, Surround Art, that treats and restores fine arts for MoMA, Smithsonian, private art collectors. They have grown from 5,000 square feet in the yard to 70,000 square feet. They're taking this entire 90,000 square foot building at $20 a square foot, which is the top of the market for industrial space and 15% higher than we thought. Why are they paying that? because they wanted to pay a premium because it was important for their clients to be in a green environment. So when we convinced our board to let us spend considerably more to make this a green building, it was a little bit of a wing and a prayer. It was more that this is the right thing to do. We want to reposition the Navy Yard. We think that the rents will come along someday, but we don't know. We're putting it up on spec. It paid off on the first building, and I think it'll pay off on other developments for us. B&H Photo, all of their fulfillment comes out of the Navy Yard. 70% of their business is online. They're building a 400,000 to 600,000 square foot LEED Silver certified warehouse distribution center. That's in design and construction later this year. Steiner's taking a World War II era, spectacular Art Deco-ish building, 7 stories. We've done the internal gut rehab. He's putting $60 million into rehabbing that space to double the size of the studios. The next project at the top left-hand corner, again to improve our community exterior and to better celebrate the Navy Yard's history and what's happening today. We're taking a historic structure designed by Thomas U. Walter, the 4th architect of the Capitol. We're doing a LEED Platinum renovation of that and adding a new building in the back. The idea is these 2 buildings will be part of an exhibit that celebrates the Navy Yard's history, the evolution of manufacturing technology. There was adaptive reuse of materials going on during the world wars that was green manufacturing before anybody called it green manufacturing. The integration of the workforce, the development of the surrounding communities, all that will be celebrated in this exhibit, but also what we are today as a modern sustainable industrial park with a cornucopia of green products coming out of the Navy Yard, hopefully to encourage young people to pursue these kinds of jobs. We'll also have an element of the exhibit that'll bring together graduate students from the surrounding universities to think forward, what are the products in development that'll be the next generation of green products. It's about a $20 million project. We've raised $15 million already, and that'll be in construction later this year. The Building 128 complex, we're now talking to the federal and state government about getting some subsidy to make this a green manufacturing center. We will borrow some money to go into it also, but it's a fantastic building. We're already in negotiations with a glass recycling plant that'll take 40,000 tons of glass out of the waste stream, create an enormous number of green collar jobs. We'd love to find a solar paneling company. We're talking to a couple of maritime companies. We are in design, and again, we hope to be in construction by the end of the year. An enormous amount of pier work to upgrade the waterfront. Although they wouldn't call themselves a green manufacturer, the types of ship repair that goes on in the Navy Yard of tugs and barges that serve the super tankers in Port Elizabeth and Newark, I would argue there is a green element of that as well, because that means that more and more goods are moved by water, which means you're off the roads. At some point, companies are going to realize that it doesn't make sense financially to put their trucks on I-95 or the New York State Thruway, and the economics will work to move more and more goods by barge. That'll make the maritime industry at the Navy Yard even more viable, although it's very strong today with 200 to 300 jobs. And my final slide is just, you know, everybody's talking a lot about green jobs. I've seen at the Yard so much happening already with existing tenants. We decided to put together a brochure to address some of the issues you were bringing up. What is a green business? We decided not to make that determination ourselves. We're partnered with the New York Industrial Retention Network, which has really developed a national reputation around working with green businesses, that they would go out and select a group of our tenants to highlight in a brochure that are green manufacturers. And there are 29 that they came up with. I would argue there are more, but 29 accounting for 350 existing jobs today. And we expect that over the next couple of years, there'll be the chance to double or triple that number of green collar jobs. So what kinds of businesses are we talking to? We're talking to some solar paneling companies. We're talking to a glass recycling plant. We've got a deal put together with a biodiesel operator that collects yellow grease from the city's restaurants. We'll bring it to the Navy Yard, convert it to B20 biodiesel. It can go right in the maritime vessels. It can go in the trucks using the Navy Yard. That would be the most effective way to reduce the environmental footprint of trucks using the Navy Yard, is having them use biodiesel. So there's an extraordinary amount going on. I think I'll stop there and be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.